Hey guys, it's been a while since my last video. I do apologize about that. I have been trying to get everybody's questions and answers, responding back to everybody. But again, I've just been super busy with all this breathing all the time, and I took a break for a while with the breeding because I had a couple trips I had to go to, and I didn't really want to depend on anybody to take care of the tank. So pretty much, I'm back into it again. Gonna do, I get questions all the time about every little part of everything that I do. Obviously, the first part of my series was just actually breeding and getting them how I get them to get past 30 days. So now we're just gonna pretty much focus on the little things that you don't see on screen, which, as what we have here, is my RO system. So RO is very, very important when it comes to the fry. You don't want to use tap water. You don't want to use tap water with some solution to get rid of the chlorine. You don't want to do anything basically that would harm the fry in their development, or actually with not having the proper water. So here we have my RO buddy. This one does 100 gallons per day. Obviously, I don't use 100 gallons per day, but I just wanted an RO system that would allow me to do more than I needed in a single day. Average, I'm using maybe 5-10 gallons a day, so I'm not really that big of a hatchery that I need something bigger than that. They do sell a 50-gallon one. The reason why I did like this one over the standard ones where you see the three like pillars or the fourth pillar was, one, it's very small. So if you can see my hand here, it's probably like 3 hands worth, which isn't that big when you think about it, because half the time just this part is a regular RO, and then you've got the pillars, probably extending like that far, and times 3 or 4 or whatever. I like that this had clips. As you can see, there's clips attached to each of the different, filtration tubes, we'll call it. Pretty much any RO system, you always want to make sure that you're on top of it. I write dates as to when I have it and when I should replace it. How old the membrane is. Your membrane, you do have to change. They recommend every 2 years, so I do it every 2 years. The carbon and the sediment, you should be changing every 6 months is, ideal. If you're not producing that much water, then you can let it drag on a little bit. I think they say it's every, I forget, I want to say every 1,000 gallons or something like that. No, 1,500 gallons. So here's a recommended life: every 6 months or 1,500 gallons. So I do it every 6 months just because I don't want any chlorine in my system or systems. I don't want any, anything that could affect my water, my pH, my balances with all the fry. Same water, same, no additives to remove chlorine or anything like that. So again, on the RO Buddy, what is cool about this is, again, everything clips on. So I've got your color changing here, I've got your carbon, I've got your sediment, and then it goes to the membrane. So the way it works is I have a blue line, which you don't see here, but the blue line is what comes from the actual tap or the hose or wherever you have it. So it comes in through here, flows through the sediment, and then you've got into here, which is the carbon. Carbon follows this blue line into the membrane. The membrane then pours into your DI over here, and then from the DI it goes into the waste, which is this red. Red is, they give you yellow, red, and blue. So I use blue for income, red for out, and my yellow is my actual water that I'm going to be using. So with any RO system comes maintenance. Here I've got carbon, here I've got sediment. It has been 2 years for me, so I do have a membrane. And this is my color changing from Bulk Reef Supply. So as you can see, when this starts, this is kind of like a bluish green, and then as it starts to, you know, wither with time and stuff, it changes into this kind of orangey looking color. So pretty much what we're gonna do is we're just gonna replace all this, run the system, and show you how it goes from there. Alright, so the first thing we're gonna take care of right now is this color changing one. As you can see here, we have our color changing resin. So it comes in this kind of, you know, tube where this unscrews right here, and so we're gonna go ahead and unscrew it. So again, you know, RO is essential when it comes to this breeding. You do want to get a good RO system. I personally like the RO Buddy, like I said. You know, one, it's I think the 50 gallon starts around $70, and the 100 gallon starts around $100, which is pretty cheap for an RO system. I never had a leak. I've never had any issues with this, which is why, again, I like it so much. Again, and you can fit, you know, in a cabinet anywhere. It's not too big, and it's a pretty cheap RO system. So we're gonna go ahead and probably speed this up until I get this thing out, because this, the only thing I would say in the flaw in this design is when you're trying to change this color resin, trying to get this cap out. Obviously they do sell this for, I believe it's $29.99, and then it comes already with the resin. But if you open it, you can take out all the contents, and I buy this from Bulk Reef Supply. I believe this is a pound, and it comes out to $13 or something like that. And the actually lasts me probably 2 or 3 fills. So long term, that's a big savings, because if I were to replace this every 6 months for $29 versus just opening it and replacing it with the resin that you can buy from Bulk Reef Supply, the color changing. Here's the UPC if you want to look it up, and right there, Marine Depot bulk color changing deionization resin, 1.25 pounds. So again, I believe this is $13 or so, so way better deal than just buying this at $30 every 6 months, when this can last you maybe a year and a half of actually changing. So again, we're gonna go ahead and just cut this part of the video until I get this open. Alright, so we got it out, and as you can see, here's just like a sponge, and it comes, basically the water filters through here and this little sponge. So we're gonna just empty the contents of this, pretty much wash it out, and then I like to write the date and when I should replace it. Obviously September, I'm a little bit early, but just for the purposes of this video, and because I did want to change the DI because it's already changed color, I'm gonna do it a little bit early. So let me empty this out really quick, and then you'll see pretty much an empty tube, and we'll fill it back in. So here we go. We're gonna just pretty much wash this contents out of this. Make sure you don't lose your gasket, which obviously keeps the water from not leaking. I kind of rinse out the sponge a few times. Try to get all the color changing resin out. Wash the other sponge. So again, this is a great money saver because again, you can open this part and pretty much just refill on resin. Alright, so pretty much we've got it all cleaned. Here's the part which kind of gets tricky, but because it's kind of an old sponge, it's kind of fine. It's obviously getting it all the way to the bottom and trying to get it to where it's flat. I always just use like the end of this hose right here and just kind of push it into place. Alright, so we got it into place. I'm just going to rinse the sponge a little bit more. And got it rinsed out. We're going to get this color changing. And we're pretty much just going to fill it in. You always want to just shake it and make sure you're filling in all the space that you can. Yeah, as you can see, it's kind of like little beads of blue and green and the kind of orange color that you saw before. So from here, I don't fill it all the way up. Obviously, you want space for the sponge and space for the top and to screw it in nice and neat. It won't really make a difference filling it an extra ½ inch. So we got the last sponge in. We're gonna put this piece in. We'll make sure our gasket is in place. And pretty much just close it. You don't want to make it super tight. Obviously, making it super tight, it's a pretty pain in the ass to kind of take out if you super tighten it, if you don't have tools. I do have all the tools to do this, but you know, I like to kind of just hand tighten it. It doesn't have to be that serious. So now this is ready, and with the other stuff, all we're pretty much going to be doing is just attaching everything. I always do take a picture before I disconnect everything, just because I want to make sure I put it in the right place or in the same order. So you know, we have these little clips that hold these things in. We release the clips. Pull out. So we got our sediment out, and I know that it goes back on this side. Is there a specific order? Kinda, sorta, just because, as you can see, it says water flow coming down, meaning you want the water flow going here. And if you put it on the other side, it's gonna be going in reverse. So I always put it in the same spot that I took it out of. So kind of just so I remember, I put that there, I put that there. And take out my clips. And then again, and we're gonna be replacing the membrane here. Membrane you should only be doing every 2 years. So this is the first time in 2 years that I'm actually gonna open this. So we'll probably see how dirty it is in here. Just take out all these clips. Just kind of help me grip it and see if we can get it just by hand. Probably not. Alright, so I'm gonna go grab the tools to unlock this, and then we can see what's inside. Alright, so we got the cap off, and here's our old membrane. Not too bad in there, nothing. Usually there's a lot of algae, supposedly, but this is just a standard RO membrane. Alright, so we're going to dispose of this one. And here we've got our brand new membrane. Just going to rinse this a little bit. Alright, so here we've got our new membrane. Just gonna push it in. Make sure our O-ring. So with any new membrane, you do remember that you want to run it for a good hour or two before you start even using the water it's producing. And anyways you want to, when you replace all these filters, you kind of just want to rinse out all the carbon and the resin and all that stuff. So always remember to kind of flush out your system. Never just grab the first water that comes out of it. It says if it's used for drinking purposes, but fish or drinking purposes, I would still flush it out. Alright, so here we're gonna just tighten again by hand. That way you don't have to use the tool like I did. And you just start piecing it back together. So the cool thing about your filters is, for example, this carbon. Obviously when you open the new one, you see there's nothing to attach it. So you can actually grab the tops from here, unscrew them, and put them on. So here we're going to take off the paper or the plastic. We're going to unscrew this. Make sure the Teflon tape stays on. And just transfer it over here. Make sure they face the same way too. This one I'll have to grab some pliers for, but I'm just gonna do the rest on the other one. And alright, so we've got our thing, and now it's just piecing it back together. So I had this here, and before I throw these away, I like to just make sure they're out of water. These will be a lot heavier because water has run through them than these that are just seem like there's nothing in them. So just make sure no water. If not, again, nothing, just preference, because I don't like my trash can to be filled with water. So we got a new membrane, we got new carbon, we got new sediment, we got new pretty much everything. It's almost like it's a brand new life for it. Alright, so pretty much got the last of the pieces in. Just making some last second adjustments. Clip here, turn a little bit, and we're done. So again, RO systems are essential. They do come with maintenance, not too bad. Again, this video, it's a lot longer just because I replaced 4 key components, which are filter, resin, and membrane. On a regular basis, you just really have to replace this, and if this gets really bad like you saw before, then you replace this, obviously. Always write the dates. Little tip, if you're gonna write the date, put a piece of tape over it. Just normal water, moisture will pretty much erase it, and then you'll forget when you have to change it. So, you know, dry this out with a nice Sharpie, write a date, put a piece of tape, like packing tape. That'll save you a lot of headaches because you'll know when to basically replace this. I do it on my phone as a calendar event, so I kind of just know ahead of time. I always keep filters in stock and, you know, in the closet, just so it gets to that day that I know I need to change it. I'm not having to wait to order and ship and arrive at the house. Like, I'm already ready to go. So this is my setup outside. Just a quick look. Have everything running how we had in the video before. Main line is here. Comes into the first filter on the right side that you can't see, connects to this one, comes up here, goes into the membrane into the DI color changing, and then here I've just got a split. One goes into my yellow line, which is my outside 55-gallon container with the tap. So pretty much water change days or hurricane days that we get here in Florida. You know, it's always good to have spare water. You never know what's gonna happen. Or when I go on trips, it's just good to have water prepared. My brother comes around and helps me out, so he knows where to get water. The other line just pretty much goes inside the house, and it goes to the actual setup of the tank. So this line runs about 50 feet, 60 feet into the house and up the walls along the, you know, the edge of the corner, straight into the tank. So in case I'm pretty low on water, without having to lug pretty much 5-10 gallons of water, I just turn it on and don't worry about it, and check it on it in about 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And it's usually pretty good. So pretty much that's the setup. RO is super important for any breeder. Always have spare water, always have an RO system. This will help you in the long run, keeps your water balanced, no chlorine, no chemicals, harmful chemicals to remove the chlorine and stuff like that. Just pure RO DI water, and that's the best that you can give your fry. Alright, until next time, don't forget to subscribe. I do apologize again about the long wait. I am getting back into it now that I have more time to focus on my breeding videos. I've just been breeding nonstop. I've almost not had a break since my last video. But you know, slowing it down a little bit, focusing on less pairs to produce better, you know, better quantity and better selection. Alright, so any other questions, feel free to drop it in the comments below. Again, I do comment on everybody who does respond. I just realized again I have a discussion board which I am on top of now. So enjoy the video.